Hey, Fran fam. Welcome to Life and Style with Francyne. It has been a minute, and my gosh, I have missed you all. So I'm excited about my guest today. She is actually a returning guest, and we have a lot to talk about, including you know who, Derrick Jackson. But before we get started, allow me to introduce my guest, Tracy Reddy. She is a marriage and family therapist and dating consultant based in Texas. Please join me in welcoming Tracy to the show. Welcome back, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad we got to get back on track.
Yes, yes. The last time we had a conversation, it was so juicy. And we had a limited amount of time, and I said, you're welcome to come back. And as always, because relationships, marriage, dating, everybody loves to talk about it because everybody really wants to be in one form or another a happy one. So, you know what I mean? So nobody is setting themselves up to be in a bad relationship or to, a bad marriage. Talk a little bit about your background again. You are a marriage and family therapist and a dating consultant, but you also have the Ready to Date Academy, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that briefly, because I know we want to stay in the time frame. I want to be respectful of your time, but we've got lots to cover, including, So go ahead and tell me.
You know who?
Tell me a little bit about your background.
Okay. Yeah. So, like you said, I am a marriage and family therapist. And I've turned my focus, however, from dealing with families and couples to dealing with single individuals because in my experience of working with people through the years and just the way I'm kind of wired, I like to get on the front end of problems if I can.
Yeah.
And to that end, I have geared my whole practice, everything I do, towards working with single people and helping them prepare to receive and give love in a healthy way.
When I think about it, it is a very needful service because there's so many layers of things. If we want to approach it in a way where we're strategic and we're intentional and we're successful. So sometimes we're standing in our own way to make that happen, to take that approach, to take that multi-pronged approach. Is that where you come in and, identify some blocks? Because what if you are someone who you're keeping out the bad, but in keeping out the bad, you're keeping out the good?
Absolutely. And that is something that I find that a lot of singles do, and they do it sometimes unknowingly. They are so focused on not being hurt again, not making the same mistake twice, not repeating any old patterns and habits, but they don't do balance that out and say, let me figure out what I do need to do so that I can let the good in, so that I can let a healthy relationship come my way. And that is something that I specifically focus on. We're going to go ahead and deal with that bad stuff. We're going to go ahead and see how you've been coping with it and how that is or isn't serving you well towards your desire for a good relationship. And what we find a lot of times is that, people are just doing what they know to do. They're doing what they picked up from their family of origin. They're doing what they picked up as just a coping strategy in that moment. Like, oh, I'm hurting, so let me try to soothe that pain with food or with distractions or whatever. So they're just doing what they know. And a huge part of what I do is give them tools and ways to do it differently.
Yeah. When you think about it, you have so many individuals, because you're a therapist, and some might think marriage and family, but you're able to treat someone, quote unquote, an individual, correct? Because it's pretty much the same. It can be the same relationship dynamic that they're struggling with. Correct?
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. I don't think I really said it good enough. That the reason that I shifted into dealing with singles is because in dealing with couples and in dealing with families, first of all, a lot of times the families I would deal with would come in saying, "Here's my child. They're broken. Fix them." You
Yeah.
know, some wayward teen or some smaller child or whatever. And so we had programs for them um, to help with the children, but we also had programs to deal with the whole family unit. And I specifically dealt with the parents and what I found and with the couple that created this family. And what I found is that that couple had issues often that could have been potentially resolved
Sure.
while they were before they ever met each other. They're bringing in baggage from when they grew up, from their poor coping strategies, from their poor thinking and habits and pains and fears, and they've given it. They've raised their children in that. What I heard one pastor, my pastor called, he says they're marinade. They've marinated their children in this toxic, or anywhere ranging from just hurtful to full out toxic, marinade an environment, and then they've come together with each other, and and so now they're presenting with all these issues, and it's like, man, if I would have been able to reach you before you got to your current spouse or partner, whatever,
Yeah.
maybe we could have prevented you having to spend time, effort, and money in this environment now, with your children in therapy, with you in therapy, and group coaching and family counseling. We could have probably prevented a lot of that if the individuals would have come together as a more whole and stable unit. And that's what I try to bring to the table. And it's somewhat new. I call it dating preparation.
Yeah.
And people don't think about preparing to date. They think about, oh, let's get premarital counseling, or even if they're thinking about divorce, let's go get couples therapy if they're struggling through something. But what if you put that same mentality, that same mindset before you get to dating, before you get to that person? How much sweeter could the connection be between you and another person? How much friction could you avoid down the line if you can go in proactively knowing, okay, this is something that I know about myself. I'm using these tools on doing it better. Just having those emotionally intelligent conversations that really are at the core of a lot of the problems we see in families and couples and everything today. So yeah, just being prepared, better prepared as an individual before you get into the couple and build families and all that, can just have a really big effect, reverberating effect on the whole family.
Yeah, because I find it seems that a lot of times we resolve to endure a relationship versus really enjoy the
Oh,
relationship.
that's
You
good.
know,
Yes.
it's like what they call it, struggle love.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Trauma
mm-hmm.
bonding, where it feels like love and the commonality is our trauma. Um, and it might feel good in that moment, like, oh, but then that trauma also has its triggers, right? So 1 minute it's
Exactly.
that trauma where it's a roller coaster. So 1 minute it's the
Mm-hmm.
trauma, oh, I love you, and then that trauma down the road, whatever the trauma was, there's a trigger in the relationship, and now you're at each other's throats because
Yes.
there's no coping strategy,
Nothing.
no fighting fair. Because as we know, as we talked about with Malcolm and Marie, there's a way to
Mm-hmm.
fight. There is effective way to fight, because we're not going to always agree, but we can do it we can do it, at least try to, because sometimes we're infallible, and sometimes we don't always do it that way, but it's like, okay, these are the ways that we are going to agree to fight. Because I really don't think, do you think it's a good idea to resort to name calling and things like that? It's like, well, and maybe not even name calling, but just being mean and saying mean things. kind of like Malcolm and Marie. I mean,
They did say
you
some
know what I
really
mean?
mean things to each other.
Exactly. So it's like, ooh. And I remember some watching it and saying, I couldn't endure this, you know. So um you've got one of the things that kind of concerns me is I see a lot of women
Mm-hmm.
are turning to people unlike yourself who you've got the paper, you've got the
Mm-hmm.
certifications, you've got the degree, you know what I mean? You've got the
Uh-oh. We're going
training,
there. We're going there. We're going there.
you've got the training, and yet a lot of people are desperately, and I don't mean desperately to mock them, but desperately looking for an answer to love, because that's, we all want that, and we all want to
Mm-hmm.
do it as best as possible. However, we're
Mm-hmm.
turning a lot of times to individuals. I want to call them armchair experts.
Mm.
Okay.
Ooh. I can
Um,
I'm following, yes.
and they tend to pander to a certain demographic. And you see that with the, this will probably be the only time I mention him. You see it with the Kevin Samuels. You see it with the, I know, right? And people either love him or they hate him.
Yeah.
You know, you see it with the Derrick Jacksons.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm just waiting on something to come out on Kevin in a minute. It's
Oh,
like,
he's already a scandal around him. Yeah, that scandal came out a couple weeks before this, where his ex-wife, he's like been married 3 times. His ex-wife is like got child support or something on his back, or it's like
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
as intense as Derek's, but yeah, he has had a scandal too. But it's related to a relationship and stuff, but it's not as directly related as Derrick Jackson's is. Yeah, people, look for shortcuts um in their process, in their dating and love and relationship journey. And a lot of I think, how we sometimes look for, if you get in your car fixed, you look for a shade tree mechanic, to try to get a little
yeah,
discount, somebody who just know how to fix cars or whatever. And then you end up with, sometimes you can end up with a mess that now you don't have a warranty and you don't have any kind of backup plan except going back to this person who broke your car in the first place. And that's what I see some of these relationship gurus as. They're like shade tree counselors. They've observed something in the relationship sphere, in the
mm-hmm.
world of relationships, in the world of dating. They've honed in on that thing, and then they go after that market. Great for business. That's a great model for business, like selling waters or selling TVs or something, to find out what's that niche, what's that thing somebody needs, and take that approach. But when you're talking about relationships, I know oftentimes I've heard people say, "Oh, it's like a game, or it's like a business deal. It's like a business." I get what they're trying to say, but a relationship is a relationship.
Yeah,
When you go into your business deals, yeah, you might have your heart in a little bit, but not at the same amount or same level that you have in a romantic connection. And we got to take away this idea of transactions, as it pertains to matters of the heart. These transactional things. And it's not to say that two partners won't get and give from each other and to each other, but it doesn't follow the same principles as these relationship gurus are making it. So, for example, you got Kevin Samuels. I don't like saying his name either, because I just think he's so very toxic to the relationship environment, to healthy relationships. Because, well, I'm getting to that. So anyway, you got somebody like him who has found a niche: broken men who have struggled with women, men who have having issues. Because I've watched some of his videos and I'm like, because at first I was just like, this guy's just a mess and it's no value to what he's doing. There's no whatever to what he's doing. Then I watched some of his videos and I said, I see what he's doing now. He has found a niche with broken men, and he is pandering to their heartbreak, the same way Derrick has pandered to women's heartbreak.
Yeah.
And he's pandering to their heartbreak and saying everything they haven't been bold enough to say to women. Y'all are ugly. Y'all suck. Y'all want too much. Y'all this, you that. And they're just like, yeah. You know, they're really excited to have a mouthpiece for their pain. And so I can actually see the value of what a Kevin Samuels does, because it does give men an outlet. Men who have, now we're in this age now where men are being encouraged to feel their feelings, you know? And so if you're feeling your feelings and traditionally you haven't been able to do that, then you don't even really know how to do that, how to express that, how to say that, how to feel your feelings. And so to have this guy come along and exploit your feelings feels like a healthy expression of your feelings, and it's not.
Exactly.
You know, and so that's to me is how people get caught up, because they're looking for those shortcuts, somebody to kind of hotwire the process for them, and if you just get these women in order, then I could get me a good woman. You know, if you could just tell them and break them down and tell them. And I know he says things to men too, so there's that piece, and that's a whole nother psychological thing to me, that when it's two different reasons why he breaks down men and breaks down women, you know. And so, but that's a whole nother story. We talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But my point is that he is pandering to their brokenheartedness, and it feels affirming, and it feels like a justification. Like, I knew I was right. I knew I wasn't too short, too broke, too ugly, didn't treat women bad, even though I cheated on everybody. I knew it wasn't my fault, and it's because that woman wasn't right, you know. And so I get the value that he brings. The issue is, okay, you've had your little vent session, you know, with Kevin. Now you need to move to a professional who can bring you from the place of heartbreak to the place of, okay, how do I now get new building blocks to have a healthy relationship? So that's the problem. You know, it's like, okay, yes, go to your Derrick, go to your Kevin to boohoo and cry. And I knew I was right. I knew men sucked. I knew women sucked. I knew they were awful. Go do that. But you can't stop there. And if you do, you're promoting your own demise relationally. You're promoting your own separation from men or women, or what, you know, how you gonna do this. And so they will have to stop the madness that is going to these extremes.
Person said, "Well, I'm preaching today."
Thank you, sugar. Thank you. So we have to come from these extremes. Like I said, people trying to short circuit the process and say, I don't want to go through the healing. I don't want to I don't really want to truly feel my feelings. I just want to, you know, fuss from the hilltop, you know, that I'm mad, I'm hurt, I'm triggered, I'm angry, you know. And it's like, okay, you can do that, but that's just going to keep putting a bigger divide between you and what you really want, which is a healthy relationship.
Because the work, as we know, Tracy, you said short circuit. It's like almost very close to shortcut. You know,
that's the word. That's the word I'm looking for.
No, that's the same thing. No, I didn't think short circuit. Oh, she means shortcut. It is a short circuit, but it's also a shortcut to not do the work. There's still work. Like, okay, Kevin and Derrick are pandering to a certain demographic, but yet where the commonality is pain, hurt, whatever. However, every person is different. There's still some work. You know, you might not like your mama. You know, the other one might have an issue with their father, or whatever the case. You know, there's so many varied life experiences and situations and whatnot that have us thinking or feeling the way we do, and how our outlook on life that shapes our outlook. To me, it's like, wow, I see more back and forth. And I'm gonna tell you, one of the things I also noted was this. It's like, you guys are on Facebook too long and not in somebody's chair. You know,
man, listen. Yes.
You know,
and too much time in these groups and on YouTube, in the wrong spaces, in groups, in the wrong YouTube, you know. Like I said, have those moments, because we all got to grieve our loss and what we perceive that we haven't had. But at some point, you're going to have to say,
Yeah.
let me back away from hearing what I want to hear and get into a space where I can be challenged to grow and excel and really truly get the building blocks to a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we did this before, and I'm going to be respectful of your time. It's just so juicy and so meaty. Just, you know what I mean? But going back to, and that's another concern I have. You're readying your your participants, the ready to daters, to get to be prepared. And I'm gonna tell you, thank you. She says you all are a fantastic.
I saw that.
You saw that? Let me go like,
you, darling.
If I had a horn.
I know, right?
So one of the things that I'm gonna tell you, just from a personal experience, I said, okay, I'm putting myself on at least 3 or 4 apps in April.
Oh, are we now? Okay.
Yeah, I just have to do something a little different and a little bit more extreme because I do not want to be scary. But I'm scared. Because I'm gonna tell you why I'm scared, Tracy. The reason why I'm scared, and you've probably had someone come to you like myself that says, Tracy, I just want hors d'oeuvres. I just want to go to a party and I got on a cute dress. I'm so cute and dressed up, and the cute server comes out and he's got all these really delectable hors d'oeuvres, options, dates. Oh, what's that? Oh, I want that one. I want to try that too. So then I've got all these little yummy hors d'oeuvres on my little napkin or cocktail plate. Tracy, let me say this. I do not kiss on the first date. So I don't want to kiss any frogs. I don't want to even talk to frogs. I don't even want to meet frogs. Oh my goodness. I just want the hors d'oeuvre experience where I have a ready roster.
Yeah.
And I know
that's the skipping of trying to short circuit the process. You can't do anything. You won't be able to. You can try. Let me put it like that. You can try to kind of say, you know what? Yes, I was heartbroken. Yes, these things happen, but I'm just kind of going to jump over that and just get back out there. And you're going to get those results. You're going to meet the same type of guys you're going to meet because you haven't interrupted and disrupted your pattern enough at the soul level. My thing is soul care for single Black women. Soul detox. That's the name of my stuff. And so I'm like, you haven't at the soul level done enough work to change your outcome. So yeah, you can go get all dressed up, dolled up. You can have had your heart broke, get off the dating scene, go get a tummy tuck, go get the best weave in town, get your eyelashes done, take 2 or 3 years to travel and get another degree and do all these things. But if you don't do the soul work, you're just gonna be a prettier, more successful version of, who you were however many years ago when you took the step away from dating.
Yeah.
So with that, you're going to meet the same kind of people. You're going to repeat the same kind of patterns because you haven't made the changes that are going to uproot the way you're used to doing things. I hope that makes sense.
Well, it does. I was giving a kind of a imaginary scenario where it's like, I want dating to be like, I just get all the good hors d'oeuvres,
Right.
And so, but one of the things is I've noticed, and I don't know if we talked about this the last time, having chemistry because you're going to have chemistry, because I see a lot of times people shoot down chemistry. Specifically, men shoot down chemistry because they're the nice guy. And it's like, you're nice, but there's no love connection.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So,
So
but
do something for me. Define what chemistry means to you.
okay. I'll give you a very perfect and realistic scenario.
Okay.
Years ago, worked with someone,
Mhm.
and it makes me laugh and kind of blush. It was just like a do you know what I mean? It was inexplicable, right? It was just a thing. However,
Mhm.
let me say this. I do understand chemistry to be one component. There are several other components that he needs to qualify for. It's not attraction, it's just a draw. Like something about him. However, there's got to be communication. There's got to be compatibility, because it's like, wow, we have chemistry, but I'm on this trajectory and they're on that trajectory, and there's no way we can compromise. So the
Mhm.
chemistry is not enough, but it is enough to pique some interest,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
kind of
saw what
like,
you put. She smelled it. You smelled
right. I mean, believe it or not, I put on my little Chanel chance, you know, in nobody's here. But if I go out, you know,
Oh
it's,
yeah, 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 yeah. Mhm.
like, but to me, you have to have that. You have to
So I think it's important, and how to put this the best way. Because at first I was wondering. That's why I asked you, what did you mean by chemistry?
yeah.
And and I see what you mean. How really great guys get frustrated because, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm good hearted. I'll do anything for you. I'll treat you the right way. I'll do this. But when you just don't have that chemistry, that connection, it's kind of hard sometimes for women, especially to overlook that I'm not feeling you like that. It's kind of hard to overlook that and say, but he's treating me right. So I would
Oh,
put it
yeah.
like this. It's all important, but it has to be prioritized, you know? So chemistry is important. And it is something that I think can develop, even if it's not there initially. But at the same time, because I think we talked about this last time, you want to be at a place in a particular balance where yes, there is compatibility, and on one hand there's chemistry, there's good treatment, and all that stuff is on there. But you don't want to fall into a desperation place where it's like he's such a good man and that's all that matters, and I better jump on this because he might be the last good man that I ever find, even though I don't feel, connected to him, even though I don't feel um a certain level of attraction and magnetism to him. And so, sometimes we bypass the attraction piece and the chemistry piece for the sake of this is a good guy. But then sometimes we bypass, I'm being treated well. It's a healthy relationship, except the fact that I'm not feeling him like that. So we have to kind of stay at a healthy tension right there on
Mm.
what are you going to value most? Like if you have great chemistry, I'm thinking about this show that I'm watching right now, Married at First Sight. Have you watched it?
I don't. I know about Paige and
Paige and Chris. Everybody know about Paige and Chris.
yeah.
And yeah, so there's that.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about another couple though. It's Eric and
So Kirsten
Francyne.
says chemistry, compatibility, communication, continuity, and commitment. All
Yes.
five are important. And so I'm reading another book by Dr. Pat Allen, just really getting to I do. But it talks about the chemistry. And I know a lot of times it's like he's a nice guy, but it, they don't do it.
So
For
that's what I was about to get
yeah.
to. So we got a couple on there. There's Eric and Virginia, I think her name is. She has a seemingly an alcohol problem, so everybody online calls her vodka. But anyway, Eric and Virginia have a tremendous amount of just chemistry. Just
Yeah.
oh my God, they are so attracted to each other. They have so much, magic between them. But then when they ain't laying down and ain't all over kissy facey, when it gets to the core of their relationship, I'm like, hmm. Now I'm
Yeah.
not saying that they can't work, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's some very distinct differences and some very distinct issues that go along with continuity and commitment and compatibility. That's like, okay, you have this really high ranking score on chemistry, but the quality of this relationship is questionable, you know.
Yeah.
At the same time, you've got other couples who have very high, and not necessarily on this show or this season, but
Sure.
you have other couples who I've seen, I've experienced, I've worked with, who have very high on paper. They look great, but they just, it's like they're friends, they're best friends, and not best friends in the romantic way, but best friends in that, yeah, we move at the right pace together, and we got similar values, we're very compatible. We have everything it takes to have a long lasting, healthy relationship, except we don't have that much chemistry. And so, like I said, there's this healthy tension that we have to battle with all the time when we're dating, in that dating
Yeah.
phase, of how much weight are you going to put on one area or the other. And we
Sure.
can't get so hung up on one area that we ignore everything else that makes the relationship work.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so we're at the 31-minute mark, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to hold you much longer. Um, we talked about Derrick Jackson. We talked about,
Did we?
well,
We
we
talked kind of around him and
yeah,
how.
we want to give a couple of minutes before we close the show, because I'm cognizant of your time. I'm here, but
No, I'm good now. No appointments.
okay, okay.
Nothing else after this.
Let's
No,
talk
yeah.
about Derrick Jackson then. Let's devote a little bit of time, because I like the way you identified that each one, because I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm kind of mad. Not so much at his infidelity, and that's what I'm not mad. I'm not mad about that. I'm more mad that this man built a following sitting in his F-150.
Yes, he has.
He built a following. So, from a social media marketer, manager standpoint, I get it. I see what the Kevin Samuels, it's be controversial. It's kind of like the guy, Hell's Kitchen, Simon Cowell. People love, that. I mean, personally, even with as a person, someone who loves to have someone push me, I don't mind that, if for physical purposes. They're going to get me in shape. You know what I mean? So it's like, push me a little, but don't call me out my name. You know what I mean? Don't say you're average and you're, so
Oh yeah.
they have honed in on that formula. However, Derrick, I think, I didn't follow him closely. What I appreciate, what made him stand out is like, well, of course, Fran, he didn't bash women. He was pandering to women, and that's why men couldn't stand him. And, they're like, yes. And I feel like the men are like, if we don't have to hold ourselves to a standard, because he's one of us.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, the damage that this action and this has caused outside of his marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of disappointed as I've gone through social media. I honestly, when I saw that he had cheated on his wife, I was like, oh wow, yeah, it's gonna be people gonna talk about it a little bit. I had no idea. Yesterday I was scrolling Facebook and literally like 6 messages in a row. Derrick Jackson,
Yeah.
Jackson. And I was like, I didn't realize it would catch a fire like that. There are a lot of people who are just like, one girl I saw posted something like, I can't believe it. If the ones who teaching us can't get it right, nobody can, And I don't agree with that philosophy either. But he's a man, and he's a man that has grown up and been nurtured in this environment that we were talking about earlier, where men haven't, to expound on it a little bit more, men haven't had the capacity, ability, the right, the courage, the social acceptance to emote and really share how they feel. And that's been for centuries. That was way before Derrick Jackson ever was born, or Kevin Samuels was born. That was a long time ago. That type of environment was in place. So Derrick, with all his wisdom, and granted, we say pandering, it has a negative connotation. In the videos of his that I watched, he said some decent stuff.
Exactly.
So you can be right. You can be saying the right thing and still be a product of this bad environment where you can definitely preach it or teach it, and you're living a double life. I've heard some pastors say, he was like, pastors are in a very weird predicament because we're called to teach the truth, even if we haven't quite grasped it in our own life. Like, we have this book that we are teaching from, and even if this is a thing I'm struggling with, I'm still called to teach on it. I see Derrick in that same light, and that's kind of separation I make between him and Kevin, because Derrick, despite what many people say, because I did follow him a couple years ago, despite what people say, he didn't bash men. He just brought men, made men accountable for some of the things that they were doing that were harmful to women, hurtful to women. And so that, to a man, that sounds like bashing, because one of our own is telling on us or calling us to the table, calling us to task. And so, so there's that. And I get that all that. You don't want to be accountable. You don't want to hear that. You don't want women to wise up and be different. I get that. So he wasn't saying harmful things. Kevin Samuel says harmful, negative, diminishing things.
Like,
outright. And so I'm saying that to say Derrick said some good things, and he's gifted in his oratory and understanding and unpacking relationships to a degree, but he just don't have the integrity to walk it out himself. And even the way he's managing this backlash after this cheating, he did a whole video of himself reacting to the video of him and his wife on the couch. And I was like, Derrick, boy, how can I reach this? Sat down.
He was in his F-150.
Was he in the car doing? I didn't even watch it. I was like,
yes. I just scrolled. I said,
I couldn't watch it. I was like, this is ridiculous. It almost makes it feel like, and I saw somebody have this very suspicion. Somebody online said, I don't even think he cheated. I think this was all a ploy to sell his book. And I'm like, no. Please don't be a ploy to sell the book, because that would just be mean. That would just be mean. For no reason. Yeah.
I mean, they're, I'm now, his wife is talking her social media clout, because I didn't even know. It's like, I never saw his wife. I didn't even know he was married. Then, he's been with this woman 12 years, only married 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that sounds like they met in college, because he's about 30 something, so, you said something about the pastors and those teaching the word, but, of course, it's like, you got to be the first partaker, of the word you're teaching. So there's that struggle, because it's like, man, I know the game. I've been in church. So it's like, especially working behind the scenes and working up close and personal with pastors and whatnot.
You get to see some of those battles that they're still battling with, but still have to get up and teach. You know what I'm saying? And still, and in this case, this is not a pastor. This is Derrick Jackson. He's not a pastor. He's just a public figure who has violated his own rhetoric.
Oh, yeah.
And so with this, he can afford, except financially, I don't know how that would affect his household, but he can afford to sit down. He needs to sit down and just take care. If this is in fact a real cheatation, he needs to sit down and go deal with his family and stop trying to make this a marketing thing. That's what makes it seem somewhat like it's not a true thing. Like it's something that's contrived to sell his book that just so happens to be called Healing Together. Now, another thought I had, you know how when a couple years ago when Beyonce came out with that
Lemonade,
came out with Lemonade, she did a thing like that. It was like a situation drop where, you know, her and Jay-Z had these marital issues, and everybody's like, oh my God, we gotta kill Jay-Z, you know, and then it was like, oh, this is what's promote this new album, and then he dropped his, you know, the 44, and it's like, so this happened a while ago, and so now we're just hearing the story, and they made it in song about how their healing processes. There's a possibility, you know, that Derrick in his own self said, you know what, yeah, I cheated, okay, whatever, let's make this a marketing ploy like Jay-Z and Beyonce did. Because I was just looking at the wife's Instagram when I visited her before the video started blowing up with her and him on it. I was one of probably the first few people to see it because it popped up on my phone. Like they're live now, and I watched it, and it wasn't even that many people on it when I first got on it. I went and looked at her page. She had maybe a couple thousand followers, like 2,000, 3,000. As of right now, she has 54,000 followers. And late last night, I looked at it, and it was like 13,000. So her popularity is growing, and so it just, it's like, is this a ploy or is this the real deal? And if it's a fake, this is very cruel and mean.
And you know, you're going to have the Jacksonites that are going to be diehard, died for Derrick Jackson. You know, our community tends to be very forgiving
and loyal.
You know, we've seen that time and time again. But my concern is that whatever their ploy or whatever their intentions are, we love salacious, you know, stuff. We love that. But it's like we still got to tend to our own stuff, you know. So I've been kind of ambivalent towards it. I'm more or less like looking at his metrics, and I said, yeah, he cheated, okay, or he did it, whatever his motive is. This man built a following from his truck, just doing side by sides, repurposing content, you know, weighing in on something someone shared with him. And he could very well feel that way. It's just, man, you know, I really wish he was the good guy, you know what I mean? And was living whatever it is. Like I said, I knew of him. He would pop up in my timeline. And it's like, yes, you tell him, because I would appreciate the fact that the information he was giving was enabling women to demand better, you know, think better of themselves, get out. I mean, I saw a meme that said Derrick Jackson would tell his wife to leave Derrick Jackson. You know what I mean? Like,
right. The Derrick Jackson we knew before a couple of days ago
would
have in fact told Derrick Jackson to his wife to absolutely
to leave someone like him, you know. So that's mainly just an observation, and not in a concern, because a lot of people are not going to decide, I need a dating consultant. I need somebody
to go to a Derrick Jackson.
Rather go to a Derrick Jackson, but it's like, but there's some brokenness that Derrick Jackson.
Even Derrick Jackson don't know how to deal with. It's one thing to be able
Yep.
to make observations and say, "Oh, here's what's going wrong. Oh, here's
Yeah.
what is not correct." It's another thing to be able to walk a person through that healing process. And I think people confuse the idea that because I know, and even myself in my own life, have once confused the idea that, oh, I know what I can see. Oh, I can see what's wrong. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of the healing. That's just the beginning of the process. That's not the process. That does not now qualify you. Why do you think we're still in this? A lot of, like I said, I think before we went live, everybody stuff years ago jumped on the Steve Harvey train, only to now discover he's been divorced a million times and all that kind of stuff, and so what these people who have got on this wave, the Steve Harveys, the Derrick Jacksons, the Kevin Samuels, all these people, they have capitalized on a particular thing, which is identifying an issue, identifying the issues. But how to walk people through working through it, they can give you their little anecdotes and what they did. And for 10 days, I did this, or I did this over here, or you can, take your wife here or give your wife that, or whatever. And it becomes just a transaction. If you don't hurt me this way, I'll give you this. If you don't hurt me that way, I'll give you sex. If you don't do this, and I'll do. And it's like folks do that, and then they wonder why they still end up unhappy and broken because they haven't done the real work. Derrick Jackson, Kevin Samuels, Steve Harvey, Trent Shelton, all these
Tony
other
Gaskin.
folks, Tony Gasket, they can do a thing, but it's not the whole scope.
Yeah.
Even your pastor can can diagnose a thing for you, but that's not the same as fixing the thing. Okay. Yeah. Even the Bible says, because I know who the audience probably is on here listening. The Bible says to it's up to you to do your heart. It's up to you to do the work to heal your heart. God got your spirit. You saved. Praise the Lord. You saved. You're going to heaven, but are you gonna go there broken and distressed, or are you gonna go there saying, God, I'm so glad you healed me so I could enjoy life, enjoy people, enjoy relationships, not try to put all the love I have in my heart in my dog, and really actually enjoy people? Or are you gonna go and say, well, all I got, I had my dog, I had my cat. I think that's why we've had this uprising and people becoming these animal lovers. I ain't got nothing against y'all. Y'all love whoever y'all gonna love as far as the animals go. But I feel like it's a replacement for another distraction for not doing the work to be able to commune with people and to deal with people in a healthy way. That's what I think. That's my observation.
And the thing is, you can't really make people cross over. You know what I mean? Because there's still this stigma. Well, if I go to a therapist or if I go to any kind of expert outside of Facebook armchair experts, that's a lot. That is a lot. And it's painful.
Yeah. And you know what? For anybody who is determining where you're going to get your information from, here's a little tip. Anybody who is pitting the genders against each other is probably one-sided, and they're probably that person who is just helping you point out what the problem is. They're not helping you heal. They're just in your ear telling you,
that's good.
Affirming how you feel.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning though, boo. That's not the full experience of healing. So don't be surprised if you listen to them for a year and still find yourself in the same boat, because all you've heard over and over again is, yeah, he did you wrong. Yeah, she didn't treat you right. Yeah, she should have appreciated you. Yeah, he should have did this. And hearing that for a year fixes nothing. They don't fix anything. So just be mindful as you're finding who you want to talk to.
That's good.
Who you want to open your ear to.
Yeah, that's good, because you do see a lot of that pitting, and it always, typically, it is the male armchair experts,
Particularly towards women. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a good observation.
Because we're hungry. We want to hear it. For a lot of us, before a good Steve Harvey opened his mouth, we didn't know what men was thinking. We couldn't talk to our man. We didn't have our daddy to talk to, some of us, or if we did, he wasn't getting into all that. And so we were so like intrigued. Oh, is this how men think? Oh my God. So it's there is a market for it. And I don't
Yeah,
I won't say I hate on these people or anything because of what the hustle that they've come up with. But at the same time, I just want the people to be informed that that's not the end result. That's not the end game.
sure, sure.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
not the end game. Be
yeah.
entertained, be affirmed, feel your feelings with these people. But if at some point you're going to have to say, it's time for me to stop mourning, stop grieving, stop pitying, stop replaying this situation over and over again in my head and going only around people who are going to help me play that out over and over again in my head. And at some point, I got to stop that and go get help, real help.
And that's where this is a perfect place to end and just reinforce the Ready to Date Academy,
Well, look
where,
at
where you say, okay, I'm ready, and I recognize I don't have all the tools I need to continue along the journey that I say I'm ready for. You know what I mean? Because everything's a journey. Maybe I heard something that Derrick said, God bless him, and now it's like, but that's not enough. Maybe I'm savvy enough where I did that for a year, not me personally, but I did that for a year. And it's like, but that's not enough. I need to reconcile these triggers. I need to reconcile the whatever it is, this hesitancy to move, because that's instead of going to get the dog, I love my dog, don't, by the way, but instead of getting another dog, it's like,
right.
let me take that money I would have bought to get another pedigree to put into my into the academy, you know what I mean? And take those steps, because I'm assuming there are tools that you're prepping to date, but these are tools that you're going to have for life.
All your relationships.
For life,
Right.
So, that's where we are, where it's like, what do you think about that process? And then you have, so you're prepped today. Is it a week, a month long? How does that work? The academy.
Yeah, so the Ready to Date Academy has 2 courses right now.
Okay.
Or should I say program? I don't want to say course, because you think course, you kind of think school, and it's not just that, not quite that. It's 2 programs in the Ready to Date Academy. And the primary one right now is called the Soul Detox. And the Soul Detox lasts for 6 months. I am thinking of offering one that is a little shorter and more accelerated for those who are like, I don't want to take 6 months, to get to the point. But yeah, so we spend that 6 months going through 10 sections of the program, and those 10 are divided into 3 larger modules. And basically, we're going to do some things to examine the past. How can we figure out what's happening right now in the present if we don't take a moment to examine what has created the present? And what creates the present is past thoughts, past mindsets, past coping strategies, and they have worked their way into the right now. And so we take an extensive amount of detailed time to expose the roots of all the contention that you have in your soul right now, the fears, the anxiety about dating, the anxiety about marriage, the concerns you have about, will I repeat the same pattern? Will I be hurt in the same way again? We take a extensive examination of those things in the first phase of the program. And then from there, we go to the next phase. And we work out, okay, now that we understand what happened and why it's happening and why it happened, now we're going to talk about how could it have been done better. How could we approach these things with a new set of tools, a new set of strategies, new information, and that is very particular to your situation.
Right.
We can, if you have a health issue, you know, and that's not to say, some of the organic and some of the uh all natural things. I'm a high proponent of all natural, medicine, things like that. But the truth of the matter is sometimes you just gotta go to the doctor,
Yeah.
and get that surgery or get that high level medicine or treatment or whatever that's going to go ahead and get things in get your health back at where it should be.
Yeah.
And that's what the program does. Yes, you can go online and say, "Oh, I know I struggle with rejection. Let me go look up a few YouTube videos on rejection," and you're gonna get a whole lot of stuff that's not necessarily suited to you,
Sure.
but it's just general information. You can try to apply that. But there's something that happens when you have somebody walking you through that first phase of exploration, the second phase of tools. It's the equivalent of going to the doctor and saying, "Look, this has been going on. I've been taking Benadryl. I've been putting ointment on it. I've been putting my aloe vera on it, and it's still there. Okay, we need to try more aggressive treatment." And that's kind of what the tools, that second portion of the program is, an aggressive treatment towards whatever it is you've been dealing with, giving you advanced tools, advanced things to deal with what's been going on. And then finally, after we get you all patched up and and healed and whole, and you have all these tools in your bag and you ready to go, we put you out there to date again.
Well, you don't date. It's for two things. It's an excuse me. It's individual or group.
It is okay. So the Soul Detox is a group program,
Okay.
but there are times where we do some one-on-one things. The Dating Masterclass, which is another program in the Ready to Date Academy, is completely one-on-one. And it's a 3-month program. Now, it's a little more expensive because we're very intense. We're talking every week. We're doing very specific things every single week. There's a little more flexibility, however, in the Soul Detox, and that's a group program. So, yes, I know where you're going with this. Do you stop dating? Yes.
So you do stop dating during the detox, obviously.
Either program, you stop dating.
Okay. Okay. Either program, there is no dating until you complete the work. I won't say courses, the work in either one.
The program, yeah.
And this is a virtual. This is not just Texas residents. This is anyone across the world, in the world, that's like, okay, I'm ready to date, Tracy. So there it is. It's important to acknowledge that while those gurus have their place, even if it's sometimes misplaced,
right?
Because someone said, man, there are people that you either love Kevin Samuels or you hate him.
There are some diehard people that will go to war for that man. And then there are some diehard people go to war for Derrick too.
Exactly. So, but there's also people who are way more qualified, and have a lifestyle that exemplifies what they're teaching others to do.
Because are not it's not a hustle for us, for therapists and for counselors, and oftentimes even for true dating coaches, not these little online gurus, but for true coaches and therapists and counselors. We have devoted our lives to becoming the person that can help you. It's one thing, they tell us this, and I know in my school they told us this. When we got ready to get started in the program, they were telling us, don't be surprised at how broken you're gonna think you're gonna find yourself being in becoming a therapist. You get therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're reading the books, you're studying the material. And I know so many times I'm looking at my book like, well, good Lord, I must be a mess, because any little thing that you read in these books, it pulls it out of you. And so it makes you, it prompts you to have to do your own work.
Yeah.
And that's something that a charismatic guru doesn't necessarily do. So
That's
they can very easily preach the preaching, but they haven't gone through the process of becoming a helper, becoming a therapist, becoming a professional. They haven't done that work to be able to live it as well as, help somebody else walk through it. And don't get me twisted. I got my own issues. I am not perfect. Your therapist has a therapist, okay? And that I'm not by any means saying that therapists won't cheat on their spouses or get it wrong or get cheated on even, but we do have the tools. We have been through a process that better prepares us to serve you from a place of integrity. So even if we are getting it wrong, we'll be able to come to the table. Girl, listen, I tell my clients all the time, look, I'm struggling with this. Look, I'm having a problem with this, so let me talk you, let me talk you through. Or I had a problem with this, let me talk you through it. Whereas the gurus give this perception that I'm together. I'm together, and it's like, no, you're actually, nobody's ever challenged you to get together.
I wish everyone, I think we should have all been born with a therapist. When we came here to planet Earth, when we were born, we should have had a therapist, tattoo.
A nurse that helped birth us, a doctor that helped stitch our mama back up, and a therapist that says, let's just go and get started now.
Because it is an experience that everyone, I think, mostly everyone should partake of, not just, even though we're talking about, the ready to date, but it's still therapeutic work, right? That you're digging, you're talking soul detox. So it's like, it's ugly. It's like, it's like, listen, I know my shadow work. It's like, I know that I can fix the code. I know that I don't always go high. I go low.
Queen Michelle said go high. But
yes, but she's the first lady.
Right. Look, one of the things, like when I know, like, again, with my program, they actually made us get references. Now, this just in school. Okay, this ain't for a particular job or nothing. This was to get the degree. We had to get like 4 or 5 references that vouch for our character, for the way we lived our life. They ask questions like, is this person, do you feel they're stable enough? Do you feel that they have a lifestyle that could support them taking on other people's like, it was a whole thing. It was, somebody said they go medium. It was a whole thing, a whole process. That's funny. But it was a whole process on qualifying, is this person legit to receive this degree to start working with people at this capacity? And then some people go way further in their, their education. But who has asked Kevin Samuels that? Who has asked Derrick Jackson that? Nobody. Nobody holds them accountable to their own well-being. And so they get these large platforms. And I used to get mad because I'm like, here I am trying to do right by people. I don't really got the degree. I got the debt to prove it, and nobody is like, just a little, nobody's paying attention. But I really, I think people are starting to wise up, because one, therapy is becoming more popular now, especially among us, people of color. But also as these giants kind of get put into their proper place, and you see the fallacy and you see their limitations on helping, then you get to say, okay, well, if they're not it, who's it? We got a whole team of Black therapists. Who are ready and waiting to help you.
Therapy has been vogue since I had my son. I was, postpartum, and which I didn't realize at the time. It's like, and I had one of the best, so I have a soft spot for therapy, and my therapists, which are fantastic Black women, like yourself, in the past that have helped me ground myself. So it's not, I just think it is a kind of it's a necessary luxury.
Right. It's kind of you're so right. It's like
It's a
it's
necessary
on
luxury.
one hand it's a luxury, but then it's also like everybody should have it.
Right, like I said,
everybody should have it.
6-7 pounds 10 ounces, and your therapist's name is
right. And you have been assigned to so
everybody
yeah,
should
I
be
agree.
going with a
Now
therapist.
what I do want to make a distinction between, because I don't want people to get off of here thinking that, oh, so I'm just gonna get any therapist. This makes the Ready to Date Academy irrelevant if I have a therapist. Not quite, because I have therapists who send their clients to me for their love work and for their relationship readiness work. So I'm saying that to say, yes, I'm a marriage and family therapist by trade, but I have taken a route of specialty. So it's similar to you going to a general practitioner, who your primary care doctor, who can come and diagnose what's going on. They get y'all patched up, but then there are some issues that they're like, okay, you need to go to a cardiologist, you need to go to a pulmonary specialist, you need to go to an ear doctor. That's what I am. I'm the therapist that specializes in this area. I've devoted all of my stuff to helping single people prepare for love. So yes, therapists, probably about 50% of my clients have therapists separate from me. They call me their love doctor, and their therapist like just their regular therapist, but they call me their love doctor. And in some cases, my clients don't have therapists, and this is their main, source of healing and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My girl says she's right. Therapists have to do the work first.
Absolutely.
Speak on it. Not all are built the same. Thank you, Tracy.
I promised you I would be here this time as long as you want me. So don't rush or anything.
I know. Does anybody? If you guys have any questions, Tracy is open. If you guys have any questions, please, before we close. But yeah, I just post them in the comments section, guys. Yeah, I just feel like I just want a therapist for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Because I just want to be the best I can be. And I don't, if it's something that it's like, oh, that's broken. Okay, let me go to the therapist. Because a lot of times we have our friends, right? But a therapist is, you're all theirs. You know what I mean? We have that whole hour to talk about us. Our friends have a whole hour, but they got their stuff going on.
Gosh,
you know what I mean? And it's not fair. Yeah. So,
and also your friends they don't have always the answer or the capacity or the training or the tools themselves to help you get from point A to point B. Now, that's not to say they can't, their friends aren't important even in the therapy process. It's helpful to have an accountability outside of therapy. So let's not discount friends, but let's also put friends in their proper place. Because even with all their best intentions, they're not always able to help you transform in the way that you want to. Sometimes they're just there to cheer you on, whatever you want to do. I had this one client who said, she said, as a part of the process, I have people to actually identify who is going to be your outside accountability as we navigate this change process. And so she had these couple friends she had set aside. And so one of her goals in her work was not to lead with sex. Up until we worked together, her thing was, let me lead with my body because, for whatever reason. And so her goal was to, as she met new people, she don't want to lead with sex. She want to learn how to develop relationship more. And so she had been doing so well. She hadn't had any encounters or anything. And then we got on a call after having not talked for like a month or something. And she was like, listen, my friends told me, I had been doing so good, just go and do it, girl. And so I did it. And I was like, no, because, the friends see it as, oh, you made a milestone, go backwards.
Yeah.
So they were trying to be supportive and go girl, go girl. But I had to inform her, you need to tell them how you want to be supported.
Yeah.
And that's something we work on in the program, telling your friends how you desire for them to support you. Don't support me in my mess, support me in my change, support me in my growth.
Yeah. Two things. Kirsten, I wanted to clarify the statement on the 5 C's. I think it was chemistry, communication, compatibility. She said she wanted to clarify that one isn't more important than the other. It's like a rubric. Each are equal, but all have to score.
And we mentioned that because I noticed she had stopped talking, so I figured she must have logged off
away because she owns her own business. So,
but no, we talked about that. Is it Kirstina?
Kirstina.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. That it's got to be this healthy tension between all of these things for it to work. You can't have all your eggs in the chemistry basket or in the compatibility basket or in any of those baskets. You can't do that and expect to have a healthy relationship because something's going to suffer.
And so I'm new at doing this. So let me post. So Eve, my girl in Cali, says, can you speak on the dangers of dating a narcissist, especially a successful woman?
Oh, Jesus. That word narcissist, as a professional, I hate to break the news, but a lot of what we're calling narcissism is not professionally speaking, not diagnosable.
I remember you talking about that during one of your lives I was a part of. Yeah.
We talked about me and another therapist, my guy Adama.
Yeah.
We talked about how narcissism is way overused because it's not what the textbook therapeutic definition of it is. Now I get what people are saying, that folks are showing up with this, heavy emphasis on what can you do for me? What can you do for me? How can I shift and mold you to fit what I need? And we all kind of come to that when we aren't doing what we need to do on our end to heal. We all kind of show up in relationships with, what can you do for me? And some people do it to more extremes than others. It makes it seem like they fit into that definition. But the dangers of dating, what was the question? The dangers of dating a narcissist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Bible for therapy diagnoses. Yeah. So she said she's talking. So you're talking about the actual, well, goodness. If you have somebody that is diagnosable, the thing is, I'm going back to her question. The dangers of dating such a person is that it's so many dangers. Number one, but one of the primary ones is the amount of self-doubt and the amount of how you lose yourself in not only serving them, because there is an aspect of relationships where you serve one another, where you support one another, but then there's also where you can overdo it, and that's where narcissists really come in and do their work. They really come in and mold you and take advantage of any of the shortcomings you may have, and use it to their advantage, and leaving you in the dirt, and you're not really truly getting your needs met. One thing she said, a successful woman dating a narcissist. When I hear that, I hear a woman who has invested herself heavily in her career, in her education, in her craft, in her business, and she has put a lot of energy into that. And so she may be even more susceptible to somebody who is preying on women who haven't done the emotional work, who don't know what it takes to build a healthy relationship, who is out of balance when it comes to those 5 C's or whatever metric you're going to use to determine how you're going to choose a partner. She's more susceptible to that because she's off the market as far as having done the emotional work. Again, that's why I promote preparedness. If you are somebody who haven't dated for a while, if you're somebody who's been caught up in your career, your whatever else you've been focused on, recognize, honor, and acknowledge the fact that is the case, that you haven't put any real energy into dating, into learning what it takes to build healthy relationships, recognize that.
Yeah.
Honor that and do something about it. Prepare, so that you can avoid, as she said, those vampires, so that you can have the tools necessary to choose differently, to be attracted differently. Because if you just go out there straight from doing all the stuff that you've been investing in for the past 5 years, you're bound to be encountered with people who are either these fake narcissists or actual narcissists, and they can wreck your life emotionally. So while you got a full bank account, mentally you out of whack because you've gone out there unprepared. So and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. It sounds like,
girl, you better say that, Eve Dion. She said that was me 3 years ago. Religious but not transformed. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's knowing the power of God, but then there's also actually living with that. And so that still goes into that whole be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the cleansing of your heart. Be your religious, be saved, whatever you're gonna be. But there still is a process to what they used to call back in the day, sanctification. Yeah. There's a process to that, and part of that is the healing.
Yeah. So even now when you say that, God, everybody is, talking about the narcissist, it's like, man, thank God, but I may have run into some people who are highly manipulative, at least attempted to be. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, the negging and the just the verbal abuse. It's like, oh, because that's a deal breaker for me. If you can't recognize,
I don't deal with aggression like that either.
Yeah, it's like
not from no man. Don't be coming at me talking like that.
The sideline comments, the left-handed comments, all of that. That's a sign, like, because that communication is huge. So everything is a joke, but it's a backhanded compliment.
Right. Yeah,
that kind of stuff. It's like, put him on the phone. Hey, this isn't gonna work. It's just not gonna work because that's huge. Words of affirmation is huge. So understanding. Kirsten says, build your self-worth. Would you say having a high level of self-worth kind of safeguards you from what we know, not so much the high level that my girl is talking about, but just people who exhibit those traits, that we now put under the umbrella. Oh, he's just a narcissist. And I'm like, God, is it that many? Because
You're right. God knows there are not that many narcissists, but there are a lot of broken people.
Her story and knowing, it's like, God, I thank God. Yeah. I thank God I haven't run into one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because maybe you have, but you had enough within you to say, I don't, no.
Yeah, that's
so. So when you say that umbrella of self-worth, we got to really examine what all falls under there. And one of the things that falls under there is having a voice. And being okay with losing someone.
Yeah.
Because you speak up. If I lose you because I set a boundary, then you didn't need to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think when you I know this, I say I think all the time, but really and truly, I know this to be true in my life and the lives of the women that I work with. When we go through the process of earning and not even earning, but learning your voice and what you really truly want, what you really truly need, it gives you some courage to say, like we talked about, I think in the last broadcast, how you're not dating out from a place of scarcity. You're not dating from a place of desperation. You're dating from a place of I'm literally seeing who am I compatible with? Who do I feel connected to? Not who can come make me feel better about my rejection. Not who can make me feel better about the fact that my mama did or my daddy did or my ex did. That's what so many people are out here dating with. And so that's why they look like narcissists, because they're looking for somebody to lick their wounds that they haven't dealt with and won't deal with. So they look like a narcissist. When in fact, they're a hurting person who just don't know and haven't tried to deal with their mess. I had a client one time.
That too is multiple dating.
Yay for multiple dating. Yes, and it's gonna be hard to do. Oh, it's so good and juicy. You can't. The reason so many women struggle with multi-dating, like, oh, I could never, because they see it in the lens of the brokenness. And if you're broken and trying to find somebody to lick your wounds, that's very personal. That's very vulnerable. I don't want 10 or 12 men exposed to my wounds. I want to find that one man, make him fit into my mold and lick these wounds. Okay. And the reality is, if you're opposed to multi-dating, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying you may need to go examine the deeper issues associated with why you are against it. Some people say, well, that's just not me. I don't think that's God. No, you just scared because the level of vulnerability that you're trying to give to some random guy is not feasible. It's not even healthy. It ain't healthy at all, but it's really not healthy when you talk about, let me add 4 or 5 guys in the mix. They're like, I have clients who, when we get to that part of the program where they're dating, and we talk about the multi-date, they literally get anxious. And I'm like, calm down, sweetie. It's not going to be dating like you dated before. Sure. It's dating with all these tools that you have now. And once they get into it and get in the flow, they're like, oh, okay, I don't have to be subject to the pain. I don't have to expose my whole heart and try to fall in love quick. I get to be a little choosy. Yeah. I get to make, I don't have to say yes just because he fit this. I don't even need him to manage my rejection. I don't even need him to please don't leave me because I can't stand another heartbreak. I don't need him to do that. You know, and so when you go in and you do that preparation work, you kind of free up space for yourself to date freely and date multiples.
Yeah.
And so it's all connected. It's all connected is what I'm trying to say.
She says there needs to be at least 5,000 people watching this.
Well, from your typing to God's ears, baby, it will be. We're going to claim that.
Amen. 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 One of the things that I was excited about when I took on this charge to build my platform and have people on to help people lead the best life, become their best self, and I remember when we first met, we were in a Facebook room and we just clicked, it's like, hey cutie, and we were just like, I said, I need you on my show. I mean, I think, and it was like, okay. And we finally got, everything. We had the show, we had everything scheduled, and then the Snowmageddon came. Hopefully you fared well through that. And then we had the show, and then it's like, wait a minute, we had a limited amount of time, but I am going to be cognizant today and close at this point.
I'm free. I'm yours.
Yeah, it's because it's so needful. It's so, because I hear so much erroneous. It's like, oh. Even checking myself. What did I say? And when you said, I said, oh, okay, I feel attacked. Like, I want all the hors d'oeuvres.
Yes.
I don't want to go through the garbage trying to, I don't want to kiss the frogs. I just want to pick from the princess. Yeah.
You know what? If I could, I would like all the single ladies to adapt the following. Remove from your vocabulary that dating is a waste of time or, oh, these men are trash. Remove all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't mind because I'm a proponent. I've been on a date and somebody saw me on the date. It's like, sir, we're not exclusive. So I don't have a problem dating or even multi-dating. I just now being off, it's like, the frog kissing. So so I need to remove that.
Every frog kissed, every bad hors d'oeuvre picked up. It's an experience. It's a learning. It's an opportunity to learn. I want y'all to get excited about the dating journey, not discouraged or feeling overwhelmed or feeling like you're being drugged through the dating process. Yeah. Embrace the dating process with a sense of joy, anticipation, excitement, because it's all leading you to that one that you need. That's just that one. You're not looking to make 50,000 connections. You're looking to connect with that one. And
Yeah.
if you can take that whole dating is trash, like I see that so much. Dating is trash, and I'm like, you are literally calling the nuggets that God is trying to teach you through these interactions trash.
Wow.
You're
That's
calling it
yeah.
trash. And
Reframe
it's
it.
experience. You got to reframe it. That's why in my program, that part where we kind of explore your past, we call it the treasure hunt. How
Yeah.
many pieces of treasure have you left
Yeah.
along the journey, that you just like, oh, that was hurtful. I hated that. And it's like, girl, we need to go pick that up and open it up, do an autopsy, examine it. And now we could take forward those lessons and build you new tools and go find you a healthy dating life, a
Yeah.
vibrant dating life. And then from that pool of wonderful men that you're surrounded by, you get to pick one
Yeah.
that also picks you. And then y'all make
Yeah.
that connection. And then it's beautiful. And it didn't have to come through pain and heartache and
Yeah.
suffering. And, oh, he didn't lick my wounds right. He didn't make me feel good. We're not looking for him to make me feel good. We're looking to just enjoy this interaction. And when it's time to make that connection, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And it happened for me. Just like that. I'm not telling you something I thought about or I just made up. Let me just give y'all a little background. This whole process that is the dating masterclass, that is the soul detox, came from my own experience with it. I was heartbroken. I had found somebody who I thought was my IBM, my ideal black man. And I was like, this guy, oh my God, he's taller than me, first of all. But we have a good connection. We have similar belief systems and all that kind of stuff. But really what he was representative of, somebody who was just there. And I had strong rejection issues. And so he came along and gave the appearance of being the Band-Aid that I needed, And long story short, thought we were getting married. He told me he wanted me to be his wife, all that kind of stuff. We planning a life together, and all of a sudden I can't marry you. And I was heartbroken, devastated, because that was really truly the first time I literally bought into this. Wait a minute, this could be somebody special. And so after he broke my heart, I tried to do what I, used to do, which was, girl, you cute, girl, go on, find another. And I got online and I was trying to, child, I'm online typing and crying at the same time. I'm like, I am not ready. And so I had to just step back from it. And I really went through a healing journey. And as I was going through that journey, and I prayed a lot, I cried a lot, I talked to a few friends, I had a therapist. And as I was going through that journey, it became clear to me. And then I don't be like allowing the Lord, but I do really feel like God spoke to me in that time. One day I was on the floor crying and I was journaling, and it came to me, I want you to take notes on what you're going through, because I'm going to use you to help other single women. And I was like, oh, for real? Okay. So, so my point is what I'm telling you all is not something that I only got from the book. Books have helped reinforce how I help you walk through it. But this is my personal experience.
Yeah.
This is my personal journey that has been turned into a program, that has been backed up with psychology and all that kind of stuff. But it's very personal. It's not me just kind of from a distance. Y'all need to know I did too.
Which makes a difference, because you have a lot of people who take on these titles and, and it's like, okay, where's the fruit? At least show me some fruit. Outside the armchair experts, online armchair people, I need to see some fruit, because I am literally stepping up, courageously to say, I need help, So I'm putting my trust in someone.
Yes, I need somebody who gets this vulnerability, who understands what it's like to show up and say, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna make fun of me, not gonna make me feel bad for it, not gonna make me feel like, well, you should have learned better. One of the things that's really bothering me about this whole Derrick Jackson thing is that people are, oh, he cheated, but his wife, look what she looking. And I'm like, she looking like what she going through is basically, they got the little saying, I don't look like what I've been through. She looks exactly like what she's going through.
Yeah.
So why are we putting the focus on her? And that's one of the things when women come to me and they're like, I don't want to tell you this because, other people have told me I was just stupid. I'm like, girl, there is nothing you can't tell. I was crying my eyes out red with no wig on. No
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
Took a picture of it and sent it to my ex and said, why you doing this to me? To me, that is like the bottom of the
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the like, okay, how low could you get?
Yeah.
And so my thing is there's nothing that I've heard or anybody could tell me that's going to make me be like, oh girl, you should have known better. And I think sometimes as women, we feel a collective blow, kind of like Black people. When a Black person commits a crime, we all feel like,
Yeah.
took one for the team.
Yeah.
And I think as women, when we see like a Derrick Jackson's wife coming on camera, look like we take it personal. Like, girl, you don't let them see you sweat. Who cares about what they think, what they say? That girl husband, God knows what all he been doing, and she done seen that girl showing up just like she feel on the inside.
Yeah.
And I'm not holding anything against her for it.
And it would reinforce this notion that being pretty prevents you from getting cheated. If she had showed up,
if she'd have showed up too cute, we'd have had something to say about that too.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and they still cheat. That is exactly.
Yeah.
Then you looking like that, and they still cheat. Which that's an integrity problem, not an eyeball problem. You know what I mean? It's an integrity.
Come on, Beyonce got cheated.
Yes, I posted something. It's like Kim K. Beyonce spilled the tea or the lemonade. So yeah. Oh man, as always, this has been good. I put up your information.
With you and the girls.
TracyReady.com is your website.
Yes.
For more information about the Ready to Date Academy. Thank you, Tracy. As always, I feel like yes, let's move on our relationship, marriage and family therapist, dating consultant expert, like yes. Then you turn into my Dr. Phil, and then you have
I love it. Again, from your mouth to God's ears, I pray for greater boundaries and higher.
Legacy is family. Legacy is love. And legacy is love and the next generation. And we gotta bridge this, but it's like it's so much pain and egos and people. Ooh. It's like if we could, like you said, look for the fruit. If you have the parting the people like the Red Sea, the men over here still on Mars and the women over here still on Venus, and we can't bring them together on Earth,
then that's the wrong person in your ear. That's
the wrong person you need to eat from, ingest for too long, right?
For too long. Yes, absolutely. If y'all just tuned in or caught the tail end, go back and watch the beginning.
Yes.
Because we talked about a whole lot of really good stuff to kind of put these relationship gurus in their place and make the distinction between these gurus and actual professionals.
Yeah.
So if you didn't catch the beginning, please go back and watch the beginning.
Absolutely. There's no bashing, I promise. But
no bashing. We don't bash anybody.
It definitely is something to think about when you have someone helping you navigate a very huge part of your life, because we talked about it last time. The relationship can make you or break you. And we saw that with Wendy Williams. We saw that with Mary J. Blige. We saw that, you know what I mean, with so many before that, and I'm just talking about public figures, but we see that all the time where the relationship, it can really break you down. Like my girlfriend was saying, it's like, 3 years. It took her, I remember the person, the devil, but it's like, true DSM-5. But so thank you again.
You're welcome. Anytime. I mean, we can, like I said, we can do this again. We can do it again whenever you see fit.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Okay.
Well, I did want to say one more thing.
Oh, yes, sure.
If you go to TracyReady.com and you want to have that one-on-one consultation, complimentary consultation, go there and you'll see where it says, start your soul care journey. Enter
Okay.
your name and your email, and then you get access to my calendar, and you can get on there, and we can talk one-on-one about your specific situation.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And I got your website here.
TracyReady.com.
TracyReady.com. Okay, my dear. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, audience, for being here.
Okay, bye-bye, girl.
Bye-bye.